Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, we need to talk about salamangreats. They are officially confirmed for the next Legendary Duelist, which means 7 new cards, most likely. That is a huge wave, especially for a deck like Sal's. I mean, Battling Boxer just got really good support, and they had so little to start with. But Salads have a, almost borderline rogue setup to it. It was rogue the last couple of years. The years before that, it was a legit top deck in the metagame. And so I think it's in a good position where it's just kind of in Powercraft. It just needs a couple cards to kind of raise their ceiling. And I think they're back in this thing. So today, we need to go through what Salads have. Talk about what they have, what they don't have. And then from there, I'll give you my opinion on what I really want from the new cards. Because I don't think they need much. I mean, they could do super anime-esque cards here for a couple of these and only have 2 or 3 legit playable cards here. And it could be enough to make Salads a legit playable, meta-relevant deck again. I really believe that. So let's get into it. Let's start with what Salads do actually have going for them. And then from there, we will get to, what I want to see for them. All right, so of course we have to start off with their engine cards. These are the most important cards because these are cards that pull stuff out of the main deck in one way or another. And that's going to give us access and extra utility for any of the new cards that come out. Because stuff like Gazelle dumps any Salamangreat card in the archetype in the main deck. So whether we get a spell trap monster, if any of them have graveyard synergy, which hint, the whole archetype does. So I'm guessing we're going to get something that's an additional good dump target for Gazelle. Those cards are inherently a little better because of the context of Gazelle being in the deck. So obviously Gazelle's a big one. Foxy being able to excavate 3 helps you consistently find more of your Salamangreat cards in the main deck. Just more consistency to find some of these new cards. Makes them a little better. Lady Debug. This searches any level 3 or lower Cyberse monster. So any new lower level Salads we get, this card gives us access to this. This has historically seen a little bit of play in Salads. A little more fragile of a starter for them, but still a good card to get access to particular pieces. Flame Buffalo. This card saw more play historically. Just drawing 2. And I know it's not a focused search in any way, but just digging 2 cards does mean you're finding some of these new cards a little bit more. So I'm not going to dog on it too much. I still think it's important to note. Then you get to the spells, Circle and Mining. These are huge, right? Mining searching any level 4 or lower cyber, so that could even get Buffalo or Debug if you want those over, just like an actual Salad monster. And plus a discard, so the whole deck wants to be discarded anyway. And Circle, obviously searching anything. I think Circle's interesting because it adds any Salad monster, no level restriction there. So I'm theorizing in my head, what if we got a main deck boss monster for them? That would still be searchable off this card. If it's a level 8 Salad and it's a win condition from the main deck, this card would still get access to it. That'd be pretty cool, but we'll see. And I think the extra deck, Mirage Stallion, this is a huge one for sure. This one just summoning any Salad monster from the deck. Again, no level restriction on this either. So again, boss monster or a really just powerful card that you just want to get in rotation. Mirage Stallion is perfect for that. Also, low-key, Mirage Stallio's second effect could become much more relevant here. Being able to bounce a monster on the field, if it's used as link material for a Salamangreat monster, could be really huge. And we'll talk about that at the end, what kind of cards could facilitate that. And then Baylink, searching the field spell. Not super important, but it is relevant for what the Darker-type does. Not inherently powerful itself, but the other cards are that sets up so much for the rest of the deck. You have a bunch of extenders: Gazelle, Jack, Spinny, Foxy, Foul, Mirror, Paraloxy, low-key, pretty interesting. And then Will, depending on what we get, especially for the extra deck, depending on what kind of extra deck stuff we get, I mean, it's important to note the deck has a Fusion, a Ritual, an Exceed, and Link monsters. They're only missing a Synchro. So is it possible we see a Synchro boss monster from this new wave just to be yay, we finally gave them everything. They have every summoning mechanic. If they do, then levels matter. So some of these cards could be better or worse as extenders depending on which Synchro levels become more relevant. Or if we get another Exceed, maybe the 4s are more relevant, maybe the 3s are more relevant. We'll have to see, right? So that definitely could come up. And then for Recursion, Recursion is not as important, but Jack comes back, Spinny comes back, Falco comes back, Will comes back, Sunlight Wolf adds 2 cards back every turn. This is important for what the deck does. I just don't know if these cards are as important as far as future support. And then lastly, we have the payoffs. And this is where I have my biggest questions with the deck, for sure, hands down, bar none. The deck does not do much, especially going first. Going second, you have stuff like access code. You know what I mean? If we can get to access code, we probably win the game. So that's fine. I'd still like something else for the potential of like threatening your opponent with another card, and then they stop that. And if we can get to access code after that, then it makes the deck that much better because you have layers in how you're able to threaten your opponent and attack them going second. But especially going first, the deck does not have great options. I love both of the trap cards, but the problem is, if you do not hard draw them, the only way to access these two trap cards is pretty much Gazelle. And it's not even the greatest way of all time, because you have to go Gazelle, dump a trap, then make Sunlight Wolf, and Sunlight Wolf add one of the traps back. I remember dueling against this deck back in the day when they were like at their absolute peak, and I would open a hand that going second only had one Veiler, one Imperm, one Ash, whatever it was. And what I would do is, as soon as the Gazelle came down, I would Ash Imperm Veil the Gazelle. Or I think later on I learned it was just better, let the Gazelle resolve, and then I can Ash Imperm, or not Ash, but Imperm Veiler the Sunlight Wolf. So the Sunlight Wolf doesn't get to add it back. And if they don't add it back, their engine literally wouldn't end on any interruptions. Maybe if they were lucky a rank 4. But aside from that, they would just have to pray they had opened multiple hand traps, because otherwise I just get to play for free on the next turn. They can't stop me at all. And that became a common theme when I played against the deck. That came up multiple times and probably won me a good handful of duels. That's not going to fly in modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! They're going to need something. Now, I don't know if I guess for some of the other payoffs, just to be clear, I guess Heat Soul's a payoff, draw a bunch of cards. It's a deck that has a lot of space for tech cards. A lot of times you would only play like 20-ish engine cards. So you would just have like 20 open cards to play. Board breakers, called by the graves, you know what I mean? Hand traps, whatever you wanted there. So Heat Soul would actually be drawing into hand traps all the time, and that would be really good. But yeah, he also didn't come out until after Salad's heyday anyway. So, but yeah, he's there. Access code obviously going second, and then Baguska as a rank 4 option, because the deck can get to rank 4, especially with Parallel Exceed, but like more so using like Foul plus Jaguar, stuff like that could come up. But yeah, that's it. The only guaranteed interruption the deck can like pretty consistently set up is Gazelle dump a trap, make Sunlight Wolf set one of the traps back to the field, and that was it. And that's just not nearly enough. So that's my biggest thing, because I think when you look at the deck, even for modern day standards, I'm like, engine's pretty good. I think the engine is consistent. The fact that most of your monsters are like 1-card Sunlight Wolves, which means you like plussed a couple, and then, you know, might have also set up an interruption. If you got to Gazelle, is pretty solid. It's consistent. I think it recurs insane. So if you get past turn 2 or 3, you just like win the game most likely, because the deck recurs like crazy. You just win the grind game every time. And so the problem is, like, can you set up something strong enough turn once that we're not just getting blown out just because our deck isn't doing enough? Even the one trap doesn't feel like enough. So I don't know whether they would go an extra deck monster route for like an actual good boss monster in the extra deck that is an interruption that we can end on. So use Sunlight Wolf to kind of facilitate a bunch of resources, but then you link up into a legit insane boss monster. I don't know if you give them a main deck boss monster. I think that would be so cool to have a Cybers deck. I think this would be like the first Cybers deck that actually has a really powerful main deck boss monster if they got it. Or it could even be something like another main deck option or extra deck option that just searches you another trap. Like, just so that way if Gazelle, you know, doesn't resolve, or even if he does, one trap doesn't even feel that strong. But being able to go Gazelle dump one trap, Sunlight Wolf get it back, and then maybe a link 3, like just like Coral Anemone for Marine Cess, get you another trap, and you're able to end on both pretty consistently, then we're talking. Because the hardest time to ever play against Salads was when they had access to both Rage and Roar. And so if they could do that, even one card like that could do a lot to put the deck in the next level. The one other thing I want to note is Evil Eye came out. I thought this card just kind of fits what I think could make sense for the deck. Evil Eye got their new extender in the last set, Photon Hypernova. He's a quick effect to summon himself from hand or grave if you control an Evil Eye. And then he's also a quick effect on the opponent's turn to link into an Evil Eye. So I thought that was pretty spicy because particularly Mirage Stalio, being able to potentially use Mirage Stalio to like summon it from deck and then link it off to make Sunlight Wolf or something, and then leave Mirage Stalio on the field so that way on the opponent's turn you could reborn that guy, link him off quick effect on the opponent's turn with Mirage Stalio, and then again if we got a new extra deck monster that was an interruption or something, you can even make Heatleo and like hit a back row or potentially, but still, and then also trigger Mirage Stalio to go ahead and bounce a monster as well. So you would at least have a quick monster bounce added to the arsenal. And plus, as we look at the salad cards, like they have a bunch that extend from hand, a bunch that extend from grave. So how do you even power creep that? Maybe just make one that also has quick effects attached to it. So that way you have the ability to make some of these power moves on the opponent's turn. I think that would be an interesting card to look at. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are my overall thoughts on the Salad archetype. The biggest thing is payoff. Payoff, payoff, payoff. I don't care if it's a synchro as long as it's, accessible enough, you know what I mean? Reachable enough in most, reasonable hands. A main deck monster, a new monster in the main deck that, gets you access to another trap, or extra deck that gets you access to another trap. I don't care. Any of that stuff sounds good to me as long as it makes it or the deck stronger going first. That's the biggest thing for me. But we'll see what Konami does for the deck going forward. But I'm out of here for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, let me know your thoughts down below. I've played a lot against Salad. I've not played it a ton myself. So if you've played it yourself and you have a different idea of what you would like to see for the deck, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff from me, and I will bring you any news videos anytime anything Salad news drops. Of course, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.